أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
The Qur'an and Women Reciters. A painting by Ottoman artist Usman Hamdi Bey depicting a young woman reading the Qur'an. I have had a negative comment regarding my use of a female voice, albeit computer generated, for the recital of the English translation of the Qur'an that I use. In the same comment, I have been addressed as a Qur'anist and a liberal, so thank you, as I would rather be this than a Bukharian Hadithist and an extremist. This person does not know what the Qur'an says about the role of women in a truly Islamic Deen Allah society, so here are a few passages to reflect upon, as well as his historical traditions.
O wives of the Prophet! You are not like other women. If you seek to live upright, then, be not overly soft in speech, lest he in whose heart is a disease aspire to you. But speak in customary kindness. And, when you abide in your homes, do so in quiet dignity, and do not make a dazzling display like that of the former times of ignorance. Help establish the divine system and the just economic order, and obey God and His Messenger. God wishes to keep away vice from you, O members of the household, and to purify you to utmost purity of character. And bear in mind all that is recited in your homes of God's verses and wisdom, for God is sublime, aware. Surely, for Muslim men and Muslim women, believing men and believing women, devoted men and devoted women, truthful men and truthful women, steadfast men and steadfast women, humble men and humble women, charitable men and charitable women, abstinent men and abstinent women, abstaining from all vices, chaste men and chaste women, men who remain mindful of God and women who remain mindful of God. For them, God has readied forgiveness and an immense reward.
Men and women, men and women. So where does the idea of not listening to a female recitalist come from? If the men had done their research, then they would know that traditions tell us that 1400 years ago, during the time of the last messenger, it was normal to hear women reciting the Quran for both men and women. Their recitations, recited beautifully and loudly, would echo on the streets outside for everyone to hear and appreciate. One of these women was Waraka, a companion of the Prophet and one of the few people who knew the entire Quran by heart. She would teach the Quran to others, and her recitations would be heard by those passing her house outside. In many Muslim majority countries such as Algeria, Nigeria, Malaysia, Indonesia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, it is common for women to recite the Quran in public spaces for both men and women to hear. This was taken from an Al Jazeera online article, link is in the video description. Historical traditions in HD 4K full definition, word for word, action by action reports for those who love this kind of thing state that one of the great Muslims and great leaders, Umar, was converted to Islam after listening to his sister recite the Quran. So what would have happened to our history if the messenger had banned women from reciting the Quran that was heard in public? He did not, so where does the sunnah of denouncing women recitals come from if not the lying mouths of men? Now you know where you can put your women cannot recite the Quran Qur'anist liberal nonsense, for it has no place in Deen Islam.
What, then, is the matter with them that they believe not in a higher form of life? And when the Quran is recited to them, they do not humble themselves. Callousness, inattention, and arrogance make them insensitive to the eloquence, wisdom and majesty of the divine revelation. On the contrary, the unbelievers, with preconceived denial, reject it. And God is best knower of what they hide. Their idols, peer pressure, traditions, malice, schemes, selfish interests. So give them the tiding of an awful doom. Except to those who choose to be graced with belief and do acts that help people, for them is a reward unending.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhaakumut takathur hatta zurtumul maqabir. كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم.
And the messenger will say, O my Lord, these are my people who had abandoned this Qur'an as something to be neglected.
The Qur'an on chain.